The story begins on a deserted island where a military aircraft crashes. The aircraft belongs to a U.S. Army soldier. A few moments later, the pilot safely lands on the island using a parachute. However, as soon as he reaches the ground, he notices another aircraft heading toward the island. This time, it belongs to a Japanese pilot. As soon as the Japanese pilot lands, the two men spot each other and immediately draw their weapons, ready to fight. This is during World War II, when Japan and the United States are at war. Because of this, they begin fighting each other. While battling, they eventually reach the top of a mountain. Just as the Japanese pilot is about to kill the American soldier, they suddenly notice two enormous hands. A moment later, an enormous giant gorilla appears before them. Seeing the massive creature leaves both soldiers completely stunned. The scene then shifts to the year 1973. Outside the White House, we meet the head of the Monarch Organization, a man named Bill. Bill approaches a U.S. senator and asks for permission to visit an island. It is the same mysterious island where the two soldiers landed at the beginning of the story. Bill has discovered its location and wants to conduct research there. However, to carry out the expedition, Bill needs a military team and financial support. He requests both from the U.S. government, but the senator refuses. He believes the island is nothing more than an ordinary island and thinks spending money on such a mission would be a complete waste. Bill then presents several pieces of evidence and explains that the island may hold secrets the world has never seen before. If they are the first to uncover those secrets, they could gain enormous fame and fortune. He also warns the senator that they must act quickly because Russia has already learned about the island. If they delay, the Russian team could reach the island first and take advantage of whatever is hidden there. After hearing this, the senator finally agrees and grants Bill permission to organize the mission. Following the senator's approval, Bill assembles a military expedition led by Captain Packard. He also recruits a skilled tracker and guide named James, whose job is to help the team navigate the island. Once the team is fully prepared, everyone boards a large ship and sets sail toward the mysterious island. During the journey, the soldiers enjoy the beautiful view of the ocean and are in high spirits. However, they have no idea that their excitement is about to turn into a nightmare because the island they are heading toward is far more dangerous than they could ever imagine. The team also includes a photographer named Mason, whose job is to capture photographs of the island and reveal its wonders to the world. After traveling for some time, they finally arrive near the island. Bill then calls Captain Packard over and tells him that a massive storm lies directly ahead. If they try to sail through it, everyone on board could lose their lives. Therefore, they decide to leave the ship where it is and fly through the storm using helicopters instead. Since there is no other option, Captain Packard agrees. Soon, the entire team boards several helicopters and heads straight toward the storm. As they enter the storm, powerful winds begin violently shaking the helicopters. Lightning strikes all around them, making the flight even more dangerous. Despite the terrifying conditions, the pilots somehow manage to fly through the storm successfully. The moment they emerge on the other side, they are left speechless. Before them lies a breathtaking green island, unlike anything they have ever seen. After arriving, the team immediately begins its mission. They start dropping seismic bombs onto the ground to determine whether the earth beneath the island is hollow. However, the explosions create massive blasts that kill many animals across the island. The team shows no concern for the destruction and is actually pleased with the results. Suddenly, an unknown force rips a giant tree out of the ground and hurls it at one of the helicopters, causing it to crash instantly. Everyone is shocked and tries to figure out who could possibly have thrown such an enormous tree. Before they can react, a gigantic hand suddenly smashes another helicopter out of the sky as if it were nothing more than a toy. Then they finally see the creature responsible. Standing before them is an enormous giant gorilla named Kong, the true king of the island. For a brief moment, Kong remains calm. He does not attack anyone, almost as if he is warning them to stop dropping bombs and leave the island in peace. However, Captain Packard underestimates Kong and orders his soldiers to open fire. The helicopters immediately begin firing at Kong, but the bullets have almost no effect on him. Enraged by the attack, Kong launches a devastating counterattack. He tears through the helicopters one after another, smashing them out of the sky and sending them crashing to the ground. After destroying most of the helicopters, Kong turns and walks away. Captain Packard watches him with burning anger. Kong has killed many of his soldiers, and the survivors are now scattered all across the dangerous island. Meanwhile, James, the team's guide, manages to find a few surviving members. Together, they form their own group and begin searching for a way through the jungle. At the same time, Captain Packard points his gun directly at Bill and demands to know the truth. "Tell me honestly," he says, "why did you bring us to this island?" Bill finally reveals the truth. 30 years earlier, he had been traveling on a ship with his companions when they accidentally drifted onto this very island. Without warning, a gigantic monster attacked their ship, killing everyone on board except Bill. After returning home, he told the government everything everything that had happened, but no one believed his story. From that day on, Bill decided that one day he would return to the island and uncover its secrets himself. He wanted to prove to the world that enormous creatures still exist, and that if these monsters ever reached human civilization, all of humanity could be in grave danger. His goal was to warn the government so they could prepare for the day these giant creatures might attack humanity. Meanwhile, James and the rest of his group continue making their way through the jungle. Eventually, they arrive at a riverbank where they come face to face with a gigantic buffalo-like creature. Terrified, everyone immediately raises their weapons. However, James tells them to lower their guns, explaining that the creature will not harm them. Trusting James, they lower their weapons, and the giant animal peacefully turns around and walks away. Elsewhere, Captain Packard's group continues deeper into the jungle. As they enter a dense bamboo forest, a sharp object suddenly pierces straight through one soldier's mouth. At first, everyone believes it is a bamboo stalk, but when they look up, they are horrified to discover that it is actually the enormous leg of a giant spider. The monstrous spider immediately attacks the group. The soldiers fire countless rounds at the creature, but the bullets barely affect it. Captain Packard quickly orders everyone to target the spider's legs instead. As they focus their fire on its legs, the spider begins to weaken and collapse. Seizing the opportunity, the soldiers unleash a concentrated barrage of gunfire, finally killing the giant creature. After surviving the attack, the team realizes that this is no ordinary jungle. Every corner of the island is filled with deadly creatures capable of killing them at any moment. Meanwhile, we return to James and his group as they continue making their way deeper into the jungle. After traveling for a while, they arrive at a small village. Surprisingly, the village appears to be completely deserted. While Mason is taking photographs of the village, she suddenly notices a man watching them through a wall. Within seconds, many more people emerge from their hiding places. These are the island's native inhabitants, who have been living here for many years. The villagers quickly surround James and his team from all sides, while the soldiers immediately point their weapons at the natives. Just as both sides are about to attack each other, an elderly man with a long beard and mustache steps forward from among the villagers. His name is Marlowe. Marlowe is the very same man we saw at the beginning of the story when his plane crashed during World War II. He has been living on this island with the natives for the past 28 years. Marlowe calmly tells everyone to lower their weapons, assuring James and his team that the villagers mean them no harm. Trusting him, both sides lower their guns. Marlowe is overjoyed to see new faces because he hasn't seen another outsider in nearly 3 decades. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the island, one of the soldiers who had become separated from his squad approaches a river to drink some water. Just as he bends down, he hears movement nearby. Suddenly, Kong emerges from the forest. The terrified soldier quickly hides behind a large rock as Kong slowly walks toward him. Although Kong clearly notices the frightened soldier, he chooses not to attack. Instead, he quietly sits down in the water and examines the wound on his arm, which was caused by the human's gunfire. The injury is obviously causing him pain. As Kong drinks from the river, a gigantic octopus suddenly attacks him, believing he has become weak. The creature wraps its massive tentacles tightly around Kong's body. However, Kong grabs the octopus by the head and crushes its skull with his incredible strength. He then tears off one of its tentacles and begins eating it before dragging the rest of the giant octopus away for his next meal. Watching all of this from his hiding place, the soldier realizes just how incredibly powerful Kong truly is. Meanwhile, Marlowe leads James and the others to an old abandoned ship. Inside, they discover that the islanders have transformed the ship into a sacred temple. Large paintings of Kong are carved into the stone walls, and the villagers worship him as their protector. Marlowe explains that the natives consider Kong to be their god because he protects everyone on the island. Without Kong, they would all be dead. He reveals that terrifying reptilian monsters live beneath the island. These creatures are always waiting for an opportunity to hunt humans, but they remain underground because they fear Kong. Marlowe also explains that Kong is the last surviving member of his species. Long ago, these underground creatures wiped out Kong's entire family, leaving him completely alone. James then asks why Kong attacked them. Marlowe explains that when the helicopters entered the island, the team dropped bombs across the landscape, killing many innocent animals. Kong attacked because he was defending his home. He also reveals that the explosions forced many of the underground creatures to emerge from beneath the earth. Fortunately, Kong managed to kill them before they could reach the humans. If Kong hadn't stopped them, Marlowe says, every one of you would already be dead. Marlowe then asks James why they came to the island in the first place. James explains that they came to conduct scientific research. Now that they understand the truth about the island, they simply want to leave. Unfortunately, Kong destroyed all of their helicopters, so the only way to escape is to travel north on foot, where another ship is waiting to rescue them. Marlowe tells them that walking all the way to the northern shore would take several weeks. However, he has an old boat. Although it is damaged, if everyone works together to repair it, they can reach the northern coast much faster. James agrees, and the entire group begins repairing the boat. While everyone else is busy, Mason walks around the village taking photographs of the natives. The villagers are amazed when they they see their pictures because they have never seen a camera before. Just then, Mason hears the cry of an animal coming from the nearby river. She follows the sound and discovers that a baby buffalo-like creature is trapped beneath the wreckage of one of the crashed helicopters. She tries desperately to lift the helicopter, but simply isn't strong enough. Suddenly, someone effortlessly lifts the wreckage away from the young animal. It is Kong. Mason freezes in fear.